Hey everybody, welcome back. So in the previous video we looked at extensibility in ECMAScript 5 and what that could do for us in terms of not allowing any new properties or functions to be created on an object, and that you can only manipulate the current properties that were existing on an object after you created it. And we used the prevent extensions method on the object class to allow us to do that. In this video, I want to look at sealing, and that is very similar to what we did in the previous video, except that not only do we prevent extensions when we seal our objects, we also prevent them from being reconfigured. So, as I showed in the previous video, we can still delete properties of objects, and we can still reassign or readjust the configuration for those properties. As you will see in this video, we won't be able to do those things anymore. So, I'm going to just quickly show an example by jumping back over into the code here. And I'm going to use an example that I used probably 2 videos ago. So I'm going to create a variable called animal. And I'm going to go equals object.create. And we've seen all this before. Oops, again I've gone with the plus. And then we give our property definition here, or our collection of property definitions. But for this one, I'm just going to have the one, so I'm going to have type. I'll put it in single quotes. And we'll give it a value of, we'll say mammal by default. We'll make it enumerable, so that's true. And we'll make it configurable, right? So we can reconfigure this value at any time down the road if we wish to. Right? I might also make it writable. So writable is also true. Okay. So with all this said, we haven't put any restrictions on this yet. So I can go animal dot has backbone and set that to true. At this point, if I come over and run the code, that's in the right directory here, which I'm not. Just let me get to the right directory. So Node.js / I think it's courses, of course. Let's see the ECMAScript 5. No. ECMAScript 5 samples. Right. So if I now run sealing objects here after executing node in front of it, everything works, there's no issues, okay? So we've done nothing so far that has limited anything, okay? The only thing we can do at this point is we can redefine that property above, so we can go Object.define property. So you've seen all this before. Then I can come in, I can pass in the animal object that we want to define, and let's put a new property called has legs, and we'll set the value of this to true. We'll put it writable, we'll set that to true, make it enumerable as well, and lastly we'll make it configurable. Okay, so we're just adding a new property here essentially. I'll semicolon that. So is this going to change anything? Well, at the moment we're just extending. So again, if I run this, nothing should happen. It should work, right? So nothing new here. We also delete the legs one that we just created. So I can go delete animal dot has legs. Right, and because we're configurable, we can also perform this with no issue. So far, so good. Now, I want to talk about the first method that's new here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spit out if the object above is actually being sealed or not. And we know at this point we haven't sealed it, but I just want to show you the method that does this. So Object.isSealed is the name, and we pass in the name of animal, and this should return false because we haven't sealed it yet. Let's just double check that. And there it is, false. So far, nothing major. With sealed, it should also be extensible. So at this point, if we pass an animal, we should also not be extensible. We should be extensible. So it should be true here. And there you go. Now, that's the default behavior. We know that we are configurable. We know that we can extend the object. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to Object.seal the animal object. Right? So what's this going to do for us now? Well, basically, when we call Object.seal, we're now no longer able to modify the type that's up here. Right? We won't be able to modify that in any way, shape or form, and we won't be able to add any extra properties to what we currently have on the object, but we can change them. So the first thing I'll show is that we have this has backbone here. This is writable, and we're not really changing the actual property under the hood, so this should work fine. So if I come here and go animal.has backbone is equal to false, this should run totally fine. And there you go, still runs. However, this is the part that's interesting. If I now come in and go, well, I want to add a legs property, right, and I want to set it to 4, right, I'm now trying to extend the animal object, just as I did in the previous video. And when I seal an object, you can't do this. In fact, I shouldn't be able to do that. Why was I able to do that? Interesting. Animal.legs equals 4. I know why. You must, in order to get it to break, I'm supposed to use strict up here. I forgot to add that line. If you don't use strict, it won't actually crash the program, right? So if I now run it, there's the error, okay? So now, as I just mentioned, as soon as we seal this object, we can no longer extend it, all right? That's the first part of sealing, is it makes the object not extensible anymore. All right, so that's issue number 1, so I have to comment this out. The other thing we can't do is we can't redefine a property. So if I come in here and go Object.define property, right, and I'm going to redefine the type property on the animal object. So animal, and in here I'm going to go, type, and then put the definition. So we'll just say value equals, bird, and then we'll make it writable, true, enumerable, true, and configurable, we try to set back to true, right? Will this actually work? Right, this line will actually work based on the fact that we've sealed it. The answer is, the screen, it won't. And you can't redefine a property once you've sealed an object. So that's the two aspects of sealing is, number 1, you cannot extend it. Number 2, you can't redefine a property that is already on the object. And the reason for that is when you seal the object, you're actually setting configurable to false. Right? So we can't do that either. The other thing we can't do is we can't delete existing properties. So if I come in here and I try to delete the animal.type, because this is the same action as trying to reconfigure a property, this will also fail. So run it again, same error. Cannot delete property type. Not the same error, but same issue. Cannot delete property type. So it's not allowed us to configure the type either, even if we're just trying to to delete that property entirely. Alright, so there are the three main issues. Now, just to give you an idea that these things are actually sealed and extensible, we will do as we did above here. I will just copy and paste this, and I'll come down and we can quickly see now that is sealed should be true and is extensible should be false. Okay, so just quickly double check that. And you can see true and false. The first two coming from the first two calls. Alright, so that's good. Now, to see what it's actually done under the hood to each property definition, you can actually call another property here called getOwnProperty descriptor. Alright, now I don't know if I mentioned this in the video 2 videos back. I may have done this already, but just to give you an idea, it looks something like this. So we have console.log object.getOwnProperty descriptor. So that one there, we passed in animal, and then we passed in the name of the property we want to look at. Okay, so I'm going to print this out for both the type and also for the has legs property that we defined up here. So even though when we first declared these, we made configurable true for both, what you're going to see when you read or console log out these two values here, or the response to these two method calls, is you're going to see configurable set to false, because that's what the seal method does. So let's just confirm that. And there you go. In fact, the second one's undefined. Is it because I actually deleted it? I did. My bad. If I now comment that out, you come back. There you go. So you can see in the first instance, configurable is now being set to false, and also in the second instance, the configurable has been set to false. And that's it. That's all I wanted to show. So sealing is very similar to setting extensibility. The only other difference between the two is that it also makes existing properties non-configurable, which means you can't reconfigure that property, and you also can't delete that property. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to look at something called freezing an object and what that can do for us in ECMAScript 5, but I'm going to leave it at this point. So I'll see you in the next video.